Welcome back to the classes of human resource management, and today we are going to deal with the last part of our chapter, that is the module compensation management. And in this video we are going to learn about different statutory and non-statutory benefit, insurance and retirement benefit, and together with the quality works life of an employee. And one more part is also added in addition to this, that is a fringe benefit. So let's get into the video. Fringe benefit, and every employee is paid several benefits by the employer, and the fringe benefit is an additional amount, so you have to make sure that is it is an additional amount paid to the employee in addition to their salary, allowance and bonuses, and these benefits and services hence called as fringe. So every organization are providing several benefits and service to the employee to promote an employee's to that is a good work environment. It not only increases their morale but also motivate them to work for it. And these are the main two definitions of fringe benefit. The first definition was given by D. Belcher, and according to him, the fringe benefits are any wage cost not directly connected with the employee's productive effort, performance, service, or sacrifice. And according to Werther and Davis, they say that the fringe benefit embrace a broad range of benefits and services that employee receive as a part of their total compensation package pay or direct compensation, and it is based on critical job factors and performance. Kinds of fringe benefits are: the first method is old age and retirement benefits, and these includes a provident fund scheme, pension scheme, gratuity, and medical benefit. And the second is workman compensation. It is provided if the employees got injured or died at the time of their service, because it is the sole responsibility of the employer to give protection to the employee. So on the happening of any contingency, the employer will be giving the compensation. Then employee security, that is apart from the regular salary or wages, the employees are provided with the compensation if there is any layoff or retrenchment in the organization. Then payment for the time not worked. In such a situation, if a worker has worked more even in the holidays without taking any leave, then compensationary holidays in the same month or same week will be given to the employee if he is not taken any leave on that particular period. Then safety and health, under this uh, precautionary conditions and requirements, that is to provide a safe work environment, all the precautionary measures is taken by the employer, and unhealthy working environment is completely avoided. For example, in the case of the construction site, you can see the employees are provided with the helmets, jackets, reflection jackets, etc., to protect them in case of uncertain events. And health benefits, it is a medical facility like hospital, clinical facility provided by the organization. You can see ESI hospitals, that is employee state insurance scheme, hospitals within a state who is providing the medical facility to the employees of the organizations. And these are the different fringe benefits provided. Then we can look into the other two important benefits, that is a statutory and non-statutory benefit. And the statutory benefit, it is the amenities that should be compulsorily provided as per the labor legislation. And different methods are legal provisions regarding this are: first one is the Factories Act 1948, and the act covers all the areas like health, welfare, safety, working hours, annual leave with wages, and employment of women and children. And under this method, following welfare amenities are provided, and it is compulsory if the organization is permanent then and having more than 10 workers with the aid of power, and or where 20 or more workers are employed without power, should compulsorily provide all the facilities provided under the Factories Act 1948. Together with, they should provide the welfare amenities like washing facility for the employees, facilities for storing and drying clothes, then that is dry clothing, then sitting facility for occasional rest for employees or workers who are obliged to work standing, fi- first aid box for cupboards, one for every 150 workers, and ambulance facilities if there is more than 500 workers, canteen if they are having more than 250 workers, shelters, restroom, and lunchroom if they are employing over 150 workers, then crutches if employing more than 30 employees, welfare officer if employing more than 500 employees. So these are the facilities to be provided under the first one, that is the Factories Act 1948. Second one is the Mines Act. And Mines Act 1952 states that there should be the following facility like maintenance of crutches if there is more than 50 workers, that is 50 women workers, shelters for taking food and rest if there is more than 150 workers, a canteen facility in mine if they are employing more than 250 workers, maintenance of first aid boxes and first aid rooms if there is more than 150 workers, pit head bath equipped with shower bath, sanitary latrines and lockers separately for men and women, and appointment of a welfare officer in the mines if they are having more than 500 workers. The third act is Plantation Act 1951, and according to this act also they should provide the following facility like a canteen facility if they are having more than 150 workers, crutches in the plantation if they are employing more than 50 women employees, recreational facility for the workers and their children, educational arrangement in the estate for children of workers where there is 25 workers who is having the children between the age of 6 and 12, housing facility for the workers and his family residing on the plantation, medical aid for the workers and families, and the state government may take the rules regarding every plantation employer to provide employee in such a manner such as the number of type of umbrellas, blankets, and raincoat if their work is related, and other amenities for the protection from rain, cold, or the situation as per the plantation area. Then the fourth one is a Motor Transport Workers Act, and according to this also they should provide welfare facilities like canteen facility, clean, ventilated, well lighted, comfortable restrooms at the place where uh, motor transport workers are required to halt at night, uniforms, raincoat to drivers, conductors, and line checkers for protection against rain and cold, medical facility to be provided to motor transport vehicles at the operating centers and halting stations, and first aid facilities equipped with prescribed contents and to be provided to every transport vehicle. And the fifth one is the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970, and as per the act also a canteen should be provided if they are employing more than 100 workers, restroom for suitable alternative accommodation where the contract laborers are required to halt at night, provision for washing facility, provision for first aid box equipped with prescribed contents. Then canteen facility, this is a Royal Commission on Labor and Labor Investigation Committee has laid a considerable emphasis on the provision of a canteen inside the workplace, and the ILO its recommendation 102 mentioned this facility and felt that a competent authority in each country should guide establishment with regard of nutrition, hygiene, finance, etc. Then seventh one is crutches. The need a setup of crutches in industrial establishment and was stressed by Royal Commission on Labor in its report back 1931. And the Factories Act also lays down there should be a crutches if there is more than 50 women employees. And the labor officer, that is the eighth statutory benefit to be provided, and the welfare officer or labor officer should be there if there is more than 500 or more workers employed. State government may prescribe the duties, qualifications, and condition of the services of officers employed, and the function of a welfare officer include the labor welfare, labor administration, labor relation. So these are the statutory measures that has to be followed by every organization. Now we can go to the non-statutory benefit. Non-statutory, it is not compulsory, but the employers who have taken a lead will provide a wide range of amenities like educational facility. Economic and social progress is dependent on the quality of workforce. So, by providing the necessary education to the workers, automatically it is benefited to the company. So educating the workers family, especially the children, is essential. So it is like investing in training your future workforce. Second is the housing facility, and both the Indian Industrial Commission and Royal Commission realize the importance of providing housing condition to the industrial workers. And in 1948, the government of India has also put the importance of housing for facility for the employees. Then transportation facility. It is also required to get a better workforce. So if the laborers are residing in longer place or distant place from the company, can use this facility, which will reduce the stress of traveling, and that is the stress and strain of traveling to the workplace. Then recreational facility, it may be in the form of music, art, theater, sport, game, etc., which will help in the mental and physical abilities of the employees in the organization. And the last facility is the consumer cooperative store, that is a fair price shop for the workers. This method was first realized at the time of Second World War, and if you are providing such facility, the employees will be getting the daily groceries that is needed for them from these areas. For example, you can see the shipyard stores in which the employees can able to purchase the things at a very lower price, and this will help to improve the morale of the employee, and it is also very beneficial to the company employees as well as to the general public. The next benefit is insurance benefit. So insurance is just like an umbrella in a rainy day. So it is a protection to the employee. Different methods of protection are there. Under that, the first method or important method every employers uses the group life insurance, and it covers all the employees or several employees under one employer. So you can see that is the employer will be taking a master contract from the insurance company on behalf of all the employees. That is, a entire employee coming under an employer is covered under this scheme, and premium is paid jointly by the employer as well as by the employee. As there is a large number of people, the premium amount will be very low, and the insurance coverage will be given to each employee's life, and in case of any death or injury of a particular any employee, the compensation is received from the insurance company, and the employer will be paying it to the employees or its nominee. Since the premium is also very low, it is very attractive method for the low income category people. Next, there are different retirement benefit. So an employee has spent a long time for the organization, and at the time of the retirement or after the retirement, the employer should provide certain support to the employee, and different retirement benefit provided to the employee are as follows. The number one is the provident fund. And the provident fund is meant for the economic welfare of the employee. There are different types of provident fund like employee provident fund, family pension fund, deposit linked insurance act fund, etc., which is the used in the factories and establishment. And it is a monetary assistance provided to the employee in case of the retirement period. So yeah, this facility provides a security against a social risk, and this benefit enables the industrial workers to have a better retirement life. And in the Factories Act, it should be covered under it should cover all the employees. And the employees on attaining the 15 years of membership is eligible for 100% of the contribution with the interest. So every year a small amount will be kept aside by the employer as well as by the employee. For example, a 10 percentage of salary will be kept aside by the from employer as well as the employee, and on the attainment of 15 years of service they can able to withdraw the amount together with the interest. So generally the organization pay this provident fund at the time of retirement or to the dependent in the case of the death of the employee. The next method is the pension, and we know that it is a sum paid in after the retirement. That is, it is based on the services rendered by the employee during his work life. So, in this method, what the organization do? It is compulsory. In India, it is introduced under Employees Pension Scheme. Uh, for the purpose of providing family pension and life insurance benefit to the employee of various establishment to which the act is applicable, and the act was amended in the year 1971, that is a family pension fund act. And under this method the employment years is considered and payments are drawn to support the person's retirement from work in the form of periodic payment. The next method is deposit link insurance scheme, and it was introduced in the year 1976 and the Provident Fund Act 1952. So here under this scheme, if an employee or a member dies while in the service, his dependent will be paid an amount equal to the average balance during the last 3 years in the account. The maximum benefit payable under this particular insurance is 10,000, and the situation will be changing according to the inflationary rate. Gratuity. It is a reward to the employee for the long period of the present employee. The Payment of Gratuity Act 1972 is applicable to the establishment in the entire country. The Act provides a scheme of compulsory payment of gratuity by the management of factory, plantains, mines, oil field, railways, shops and other work establishments employing 10 or more persons to their employees, and it is payable to all employees who render a minimum continuous service of 5 years with the present employer, and it is payable to an employee on a superannuation or his retirement or on the death or disablement due to accident or disease. The next retirement benefit is a medical benefit, and the medical benefit is provided, that is some organization is only providing this method, that is if they are in need of a medical service they will be providing that is a company will be spending amount for them, and this will create a permanent attachment with the organization by the employee. And the other welfare measures provided are canteen facilities, consumer stores, credit societies, housing, legal aids or legal support like lawyers or company lawyers will be provided when the employee is facing some legal problems, employee counseling, welfare organizations, home holiday homes, educational facility, transportation, and parties and picnics to the employee. So these are the different retirement benefits provided to the employees by the companies. Moving on to our last topic in this particular module, that's module number 4, that is the quality of work life. The quality of work life is a quality of relationship between the employer and the total work environment. A great place of work is where you trust the people you work and you have pride in what you do and enjoy the people you work with. So, if a person is enjoying the work, automatically there will be a good work and work life, and that is it is the level of satisfaction of the employee in an organization, and it relates to job satisfaction and organizational development as well. So these are the different qualities or the importance of the quality of work cycle. You can see it is providing job security, job enrichment, career growth, rewards and recognition, open communication, improved or increased employee participation, and flexible work timings. And there are four principles of quality work life. The first one is the principle of security. That is, a changing workforce of knowledge workers expect more than just money in their work life. In the modern era, there is a rapidly becoming a era of dual income workers, that is, both the husband and the wife, that is, a spouse, are working. In such a situation, if the workers need more flexibility in the certain areas like working hours, leave, compensation, etc., a worker who is free from the fear of loss of employment contribute more in the organization, because if they are secured, they will work better in the organization. Then, principle of equity. It states that there should be no distinction or discrimination between the owners, management, and workers. There should be a fair reward system between the worker, and the profit of the business should be shared between the owners and the employees in the ratio of contribution made by each one of them. This will help to enable or create more quality life in the organization. The third principle is principle of individuality. It refers to freedom and autonomy allowed to the workers in deciding their own space of work or pace of work, methodology, and designing a sequence of operation of the job. Thus, principle of individuality lays down that every individual or employee should be motivated to make use of existing capacities or capability and encourage them to develop their own competence. Then, principle of democracy, and it states that there should be a democratic environment in the workplace, that is, employees should enjoy certain rights such as right of personal privacy, right of speech, and workers participation, which will help to improve more skills of the employee and as well as the work life and satisfaction of the employee within the organization. So these are the different principles, and principles include principle of freedom, principle of democracy, principle of security, and all these contribute towards a better work life. So by this we are completing our module 4. Thank you for listening, and please ask the doubts if you have any, and take care, stay home, and stay safe. Thank you.